Did we do the hydrant flushes already
No.
before this? Oh, okay.
We just went and flushed what we had to get our big distribution main full of water to get the chlorine distributed good enough so we could get our samples to pass, because if I wouldn't have got it through in September, October would have been just, DEQ would have been in here taking over the water system. So we did what we had to do to make sure them samples passed. And at this point, we're licensed to put the chlorine in, Steve and myself are. So they're, and by law, you had to do something because you couldn't sit and do nothing. And one of them was add chlorine, flush, resample. And that's exactly what we did.
I think it's prudent to keep chlorine in until March anyway. Anybody object to that?
No, $1,000 or whatever.
I think Sam knows that water system better than.
Thank you.
And I will read this letter. Important information about your drinking water. Test showed coliform bacteria in the village of Central Lakes water. Our water system recently violated a drinking water standard. Although this incident was not an emergency, as our customers, you have a right to know what happened, and we did to correct the situation. We routinely monitor for drinking water contaminants. We took 1 distribution system sample and 4 repeat samples to test for the presence of coliform bacteria in late September 2015. 2 of those samples showed the presence of coliform bacteria. The standard that is no more than 1 sample per month may do so. What should you do? You do not, underlined not, need to boil your water or take any other corrective actions. However, if you have specific health concerns, consult your doctor. People with severely compromised immune systems, infants, and some elderly may be at increased risk. These people should seek advice about drinking water from their healthcare providers. General guidelines on ways to lessen the risk of infection by microbes are available from the Environmental Protection Agency's Safe Drinking Water Hotline at 1-800-426-4791. What does this mean? This is not an emergency. If it had been, you would have been notified immediately. Coliform bacteria are generally not harmful themselves. And coliforms are bacteria which are naturally present in the environment and are used as an indicator that other potentially harmful bacteria may be present. Coliforms were found in more samples than were allowed, and this was a warning of potential problems. Usually coliforms are a sign that there could be a problem with the system's treatment or distribution system, pipes, in parentheses. Whenever we detect coliform bacteria in any sample, we do follow-up testing to see if other bacteria of greater concern, such as fecal coliform or E. coli, are present. We did not find any of these bacteria in our subsequent testing. What happened? What was done? A routine bacteriological sample, and 1 of 4 follow-up samples tested positive for total coliform bacteria. The water system was flushed and chlorinated. We are continuing to sample and investigate the source of the bacteria. For information, you can call Sam at 231-544-2701. And we are under Administrative Rule R 325.10404 of Act 399 requires that suppliers provide a public notice not later than 30 days after learning of a violation by mail or direct delivery and by any other means reasonably calculated to reach customers not normally reached by mail. And this is the sample of the public notice that I just read to you. And that's about it.
Thank you, Rod.
Yep.
Law enforcement, Bill?
Chief pretty well covered there. We'll have a meeting before the next meeting, board meeting. We'll have a council meeting or a committee meeting. We can see what direction we want to go or suggest that we go in code enforcement in part-time.
At all? Finance personnel, Joe?
That's actually been kind of quiet month for me. We had some computer issues in the office. That's why our packets were late getting out. The agendas didn't get out on time. So that's really all that I've had for that, except I had Corey, the president of the DDA, or the chairman of the DDA, contacted me. Last month we approved the spending of up to $1,500 to, I believe it was, fix up the chamber grounds.
Right.
And I guess the bill came in at 1,900 and some, which is not.
And the garden club has paid that $475.
Oh, okay, I guess Corey wasn't aware of that then.
Probably not.
Okay. And then I don't have none.
Leila, Parks?
Okay, well, the park has been doing excellent. And we had a meeting down at the park, was it yesterday, the day before, I guess it was. Can't even remember the dates. Yesterday, for an hour and a half out there trying to figure out how we want to do this addition to the bathroom. And since Rob has the map over there and he can explain it to you thoroughly because he's more of a mathematician. So I will let him explain that part to you so that we can complete this.
All right. I do this notes.
You want me to hold that up for you, Rob, so you can sit there?
Okay, yeah, stand right there. You know what I got?
I give up.
No.
You got a laser pointer.
I do, I found it.
Oh.
Ah, baby.
Back to the school days.
So, all right, the bathhouse or bathrooms right here, originally were gonna be separate because of ADA compliance. And also, we had to be keeping consideration, there's a stream running behind it and a water line running on that property line on the west side. So it's very difficult to orientate that new bathhouse. Well, after a lot of measuring and standing in the rain, it was determined that we can put one wall up to the existing bathhouse and the other 3 walls just to the north. Take the roof off the original bathroom, and now instead of a 24-foot bathroom, which originally is there, the new bathroom then now will be 35 feet because the additional square footage of the addition. So we take the roof off and we just enlarge the roof. The 2 structures are separate though. So the original bathroom does not have to be ADA compliant, according to Gordy Fraser. They assured us of that. There was some discussion that we were positive of that. Well, they felt very confident that we could do that. And in doing that and tightening it up right here, there's a new house right here. So this person doesn't have to look at the bathroom over the beach. He came down and was very appreciative after the meeting and was very happy that we didn't put it right here, you know, the soil stack right in front of his living room. So that worked out really well in the end. There's going to be a pathway here going to the north side of the campground. Now, where it's X'd out in red is where originally it was planned, but this is leased property. This is Thurston Park. We don't technically own that. It's on a 100-year lease. So the boardwalk is going to end right, or I should say the sidewalk is going to end right here to the boardwalk. Boardwalk is 8 feet with 9 finger docks. The docks are either going, oh, let's back up. With the boardwalk there, they are going to put rock into the water and build up behind it, because right now it's fairly mucky. Sam, you want to tell them exactly what we're going to do, because you did it on the north side right there. We can't see the north side.
What we're, on the north end of Intermediate Lake, when we built that boardwalk, what we did was we went in behind where the boardwalk is and actually started a rock retaining wall. So it's rocks all the way out to stop the erosion, to stop the ice jams from pushing anything out, so it's got to push up against the retaining wall. And then the rocks will come up on a 45-degree angle on the boardwalk, so that if we did get any ice that would shove, it would physically shove it up over top of the boardwalk instead of pushing it out.
So then from there, the finger docks are going to go out, and they are floating finger docks, 25 feet long. Now, they are not the same finger docks, floating docks, I should say, as Ellsworth, because those are just more residential, and if you've ever seen anybody come into the North Docks on a Saturday afternoon, they wouldn't hold up to that. So Traverse City has the floating docks. Sam and I might drive down to Traverse one day and look at those floating docks and evaluate them to see if that's indeed what we want to do in that type of a dock situation. So the boardwalk's going to run all the way through there, ending right about here, where the old docks are sitting now. You can see the old treated lumber ones. Those will be pulled, and the new finger docks will be put in. And I've got the sidewalks right there marked. The north end, we're going to have the 8 finger docks coming out right there as well. So we're gonna be able to accommodate a lot more boats. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna raise up the sidewalk, because that's really wet, to, so it doesn't sink in. Pilings, prevent erosion, floating decks, 25 feet, that's more sturdy. That's the good news. The original estimate in 2013 was $249,550, so call it $250,000. Gordy Fraser came back to us yesterday and said, well, that was going on 3 years ago, it's going to be 30% more. So instead of $250,000, 30% of 250 is $75,000, so our new cost, when we put it out to bid, could be as high as $325,000. So that's where we're at now.
But we also have the option of a different type of dock to put in to save some funds.
Yep, and this is gonna be taken out too, so hopefully that will whittle down some money too. So,
By putting it out in the winter, we're hoping that that cost will be lower as well. So those are just things we'll have to deal with when the time comes.
We should, one, probably contact the auditors and talk with them. We had a lot of conversations with them when we first got into the monies of this, to know what will we sufficiently could fund, and know that we're still maintaining a good, healthy fund balance. An increase of 30%, maybe more than they're saying we should pull out of our fund balances. So it's probably worth the call to them to see what they think about that. And then the question I would have, and I know you say Gordy Fraser is pretty confident in that, is the touching of the old bathhouse with the ADA compliance.
yep,
The original plan was to do that, basically,
yeah,
and they moved it away from it because of ADA compliance and wouldn't go.
We had the engineer that's actually doing the architect work on it, and he said, yes, you can do it 100%.
yes, like 3 times.
Bob and me went over it 1,000,000 times with him on that same issue.
But
The only
Antrim
thing
County
was
will
the
make that
trust
final
fund.
decision, right?
Pardon? Yeah,
Antrim County
it has
will
to
make
go through the building,
that decision,
that's right, the
so.
building department has to be the final one to stamp it.
But Gordy Fraser, they get to tell them, not us, that's kind of
Oh, right.
the nice thing
It'll
about
be
it.
nice when they put their little,
Yeah, when,
Stand.
when an engineer, structural engineer comes in and those two are tangling, I think that's gonna be a little different conversation.
We are gonna be receiving a bunch more,
No.
want me to shut up?
No, keep
No,
going.
keep going.
We're gonna be receiving some more information from Gordy Fraser, because we have to make a decision on what we wanna do for lighting for the bathrooms. What do we wanna do for stalls, countertops? None of that has been done. This board has to get together, the park committee, and decide how they want, and what they want on this building. Because you can do can lights, which are probably gonna cost more than outside lights when you get for that bid. So there's a lot of stuff you gotta consider there. Siding, do you stucco the building to match the other building? Just a ton of stuff. And Rob and me spent, and Larry was down there, Leila was down there, we spent a lot of time, and that's what we discussed with them.
So the new bathhouse will not be ADA compliant?
No, it will be.
Will be.
The
It will be.
old one will not.
Okay.
2 women's bathrooms with showers and 2 men's bathrooms with showers.
Individually.
Individually, yes.
Oh, they are gonna make, they are gonna have distinctive bathrooms now, because originally they were unisex.
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
No, these are gonna be male and female, locked doors, individual doors.
And how many are there?
Pardon?
How many?
I've never been in the women's bathroom.
There's one shower in the men's part that we have now, and one in the women's. And these will be complete bathrooms like you have in your home. Place to sit down to change, put your clothes on a changing table, everything.
Rob, I think you did a nice job of explaining it when,
Well, thank you. Sam did a good
well,
job. too.
you guys did a wonderful job.
Her calculations on the math is still to have the our DPW do a portion of the work to write off our
The
percentage.
engineering firm, in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I have that.
On the finals.
But it was 54,000 originally, or 52,000. Again, I'm just pulling it off the top of my head. 56 up there.
I don't have that number at hand. I probably do, but I can't find it.
What do you look for, Rob?
How much we had budgeted for DPW work.
Cruisen's got a mind like a,
What was it,
I
Ken?
can tell you the numbers.
Yeah, I wish. I'm gonna guess it was like 38 or something, Joe, but it's on the application. If you can,
I'm
it's in there,
thinking that.
that number's on it, right there, exactly what our,
That
what part of the
38 was the
DPW is
separate,
gonna
right?
match.
Right, that sounds reasonable, what he
I was
said.
thinking we were 54 myself, but 38 was on the split. Part of it was Bay Parks, part of it was campground.
It could be, but if you, it's right on that application. I'll have to break it right now.
Anything else, Leila?
No, I think that pretty well covers that.
Under my report, since our last meeting,
Oh, did you wanna go over these numbers, Leila, or no?
Yeah, I would,
Okay.
later.
You wanna go?
No, well, go ahead, if you wanna go ahead and go over those. It's just a quick one.
Real quick, campground closed. We're $9,093 ahead of budget from last year, so that's a 13.6% increase from last year's revenue, which is really good. I started playing around with some data here, the sites 2 through 10, they come in at $25 a night, and we had a total of 727 days booked. So times $25 a night, so theoretically we should have $18,175, but we actually came in at $18,892 because of the campground reservation system. So just those two sites, or I should say sites 2 through 10, our percent error was only 3.94%, which I think is really good. Sites 11 through 40, again, right on. Each site, all the ones that are $20 came in within 50 cents of that $20 mark. So overall, I think Lyle, Rachel, and the computerized reservation system doing great, because there's no anomalies in here to speak of. There's not one site where it was way down and one site way up, like we weren't, somehow something got missed, a check, or a credit card didn't get processed correctly. So hats off to the both of you two. You figure all those days that we booked here, and the percent error is ridiculously low. So, good job, you two.
Thank you. Like I said, you're the mathematician.
I think last meeting, I mentioned that we were selected as one of 10 communities within the state for what the state is calling Project Rising Tide. They wanted to kind of keep that under wraps until the public announcement, which was on the 28th of September. But prior to that, they met with us, a group on the council, the DDA, a couple of the business people in the community, I think. Northern Lakes Economic Alliance had 2 representatives at the first meeting. There was 4 people from the state, 2 from the Economic Development Corporation, 1 from MISTA, and 1 from Michigan Works out of Traverse City. And basically they were fact-finding from us what we feel that we need from an economic development point of view, what the hurdles that we have to overcome to make something happen here. And we got done with that meeting, everything was good. Dan Leonard, who is the head of the project for our community, came to me and said, is there anybody else in the community that would have some more input? So from that, we scheduled another meeting, invited back the first group, not all came, and we added the school, the township, Armor Express, and the grocery store. And they had the opportunity, and the funeral home, and they had the opportunity to answer some of the same questions that the first meeting answered. And it's all back in there in the state's court right now. He said within a couple of weeks we should probably all meet again. Well, I haven't heard from him, and it's been more than 2 weeks. So the fact that we are one of 10 communities in the state, Dan Leonard said that is going to be a good thing. However, I think the nature of the project is that they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants at this point in time as well, trying to figure out what they can actually give us. The question was, is it gonna cost us any money? No, was the answer. Are they gonna give us any money? Again, no was the answer. So I think as I read through the information, and I do have the Project Rising Tide statement that was produced for the newspapers. I forgot to bring them in to tonight's meeting, but I do have them, so get to me after if you want to read that. From what I can gather, what they are trying to do is help us establish ourselves as economically, developmentally ready to accept anything that might come our way. And Grayling was the other community in our area. I don't think this project had anything to do with it, but they have received confirmation of putting in the largest crustboard plant in the world, which will end up resulting in 250 permanent jobs. I said we would be more than happy to accept 250 permanent jobs any way that you want to bring them in. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen, but we can always hope. So anyway, that's been going on for a month. The next meeting, and I'm kind of leaving Dan Leonard to call the shots. I would like to invite any and everybody to the next one if possible, but he may request that we not do that, as he did for the first and the second meetings. So, the park and the grant, that's been explained already. One thing that hasn't been explained, Lake Street, the engineers came to us 10 days ago or so and said, has Lake Street ever been abandoned? Since on the original plat, it goes right through the current restrooms and the campsites to the south of that. And Brian Graham, our attorney, has all of that information in front of him, and I asked him to respond to me by tonight's meeting, and he hasn't done that. Since we own the plat, I think it's a little bit different than a private person trying to ask us to abandon a plat or reconfigure the plat for use. And that's what he's trying to decide. Yeah.
Can you stop for a moment? So you're talking Lake Street in front of the pavilion right here, right?
Yes.
You know, somebody's requesting to abandon it. Is that?
No. The engineers are questioning
What engineers?
Gordy Fraser.
Gordy Fraser, oh, okay.
They're questioning the fact that the original plat, from their information, it doesn't look like it's been changed to develop as it has been developed. Because the original plat says that Lake Street goes through the bathhouses, across the creek, down to Bradford Street. But that original plat also shows Grove Street going from west all the way down to Lake Street. And that's never been developed. So, and that's campsites.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is clarify the plat. Maybe it was revised in the past, no record of it that we could find. Rachel looked for a good afternoon, looking for something. But he was gonna contact the state and the state plat, so, yes. You don't need to raise your hand.
It does show it. I've got a really old map here.
Yeah, I know, it does show on the original plat. But some later maps have the park and the
This
way it
is-
so.
2012,
It's 81.
this is 74. So, yeah, they're showing a road.
Right, so they're just asking us to get clarification on that. So that's where we stand with
Wow,
that.
I never noticed.
And the only other issue that I had to bring up was the water, which has been thoroughly explained, so.
Yeah.
Move on to the treasurer's report.
Real quick, Larry, with,
Yep.
back with you, with your conversation with the, attorneys here lately, where are we at with the Thurston Park lease now? Like kinda on the 100-year lease.
We're at least 10 years out. I'm thinking it's more like 13 or 14 years out, from what I can recollect. My last conversation with him, from my understanding, he said that good chances are there's nobody left in the Thurston family that would have any claim to it. And even if there was, he's not sure that they would have any claim to it. So I think the fact that the pavilion is there, the bathhouse is there, already on that property, even if we wanted to put boardwalk on that, I don't think that has any issue.
The pavilion and all that's not part of the lease property.
Yes, it is.
According to the map that Cory Fraser just did for us when we did that out, that's separated.
No, the big pavilion.
Wasn't in that?
That according to Gordon
understanding-
Fraser's last survey, Larry. When they resurveyed it, they showed those 2 lots right there or something, where the pavilion is, not part of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
that's what, I was just curious where that,
It's
if
it's been confusion for 30 years, I think, where it really is what it is.
I always just assumed it, I knew the campground ended, and then it was everything that the road encompassed to the north.
It would almost,
Lake
Can I see that? Can I see
Larry, it
that?
would almost be like Brook Street where you come off the hill and you go right straight down to the lake. That's the
You pass that
piece
down
of
for me
property.
for a second?
Okay.
Is that a good way to answer
Yeah,
it? Double the width of Brook Street,
There's a
that's
map.
the size of the lot.
Like, what were the playground, all the
I
equipment?
may have the map.
Yeah.
You found
You
it.
see this
Look at
section
Gordon
here?
Fraser did us one of the
Yes,
surveys.
I may have it.
This we own, this is that lease.
Okay.
And it is pegged, Larry, so I can find it.
Yep, it's all been pegged, so for anybody that would look at the maps, this is owned by the village currently, this is owned by the village, this is the piece here that's the lease, and it shows it in our map even here.
I'm sure somebody will lay claim to it though.
Yeah, we,
Well, they gotta have a Thurston connection in order to do that, so.
that was just my only question, if we were still moving forward with that, or if we were just holding off. I know one time there was question if we'd be further just to wait until that time come and then approach it, but.
Anything else? Move on to approval of the bills. Need a motion to pay the prepaids of 14,445.28, payroll of 591905, and payables of 11,405.61 for a total of 31,769.94.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
And moved and supported, Chapman and Bodley. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. No new business, action items. This wasn't done a year ago, and it may have not been done for the last 4 or 5 years, but we used to set the hours for Halloween and determine whether or not to hand out cider and donuts. Sam has generously agreed to do that this year. Halloween is on Saturday night. My feeling is that we should allow Halloween trick-or-treaters from 5 to 8. And that'll get the kids out of the streets after 8 o'clock. And we will advertise for a couple weeks in the paper prior to that. If anybody, we can do it by motion, or if you just agree to it, to agree.
I agree.
I agree, yeah.
5 to 8, and hand out
Thank you,
cider
Sam,
donuts.
for doing that again.
Hopefully we'll have a nice night for weather. Moving B, campground incident. Just to let the public know, the council has 3 statements that have been supplied to them regarding a camper in the park. who had an incident with the campground manager and the friend of the campground manager. And it is a situation that I took to the attorney. He came back and said, we as a village own the campground and we can pretty much do what we want. And I said, should it be a council decision? He said that would be a good idea. So that's where we're at. I'm not here to run the camper name through the mud, but I am here to protect the interest of our park, of our employee who works there, and I guess I'm looking for feedback from the council as to what we should be doing to resolve the issue. It is the only issue that has come up at the park this year that I'm aware of, on the negative side anyway. And I think that some action should be taken.
I've been down there talking to this person. I talked to some of the other campers too down there. And when I tried to talk to him, he got very abusive to me. And I told him, I'm not gonna argue with you, I'm not gonna raise my voice to you. And I turned around, got in my car, and he knocked on one and said, you mean you're leaving? I said, yes, I'm leaving. And he got very angry with me. His whole attitude's been gone. According to some of the other campers, it's been a very serious problem. And I'd like to see him removed from the campground and denied renewal of any time.
I talked to him on, where are my notes? On Friday, 9/4, he just went over everything, his dispute with Lyle. I'm not gonna get into any of that. But my take from that was, well, don't talk to him, and any problems you have, address it to myself, Leela, Melissa Zelnick, the people on the campground committee. We had that other meeting, a week later, Lyle, and I told Lyle the same exact thing. Lyle, don't look at them, don't do anything. If there's a problem, call one of us three. That way we can let any situation goes through us, so that way it's not a he said, she said type of a thing. Again, I'm not gonna get into all the things that was said, because it's not germane to the conversation, I don't think, but he was frustrated, but I didn't find him to be the least bit aggressive or anything like that. I will say that, but I thought the problem had been solved back on 9/4, to be very honest with you. I thought the problem was done, settled, and put to bed, but obviously, it's reared its head again, so anybody?
So there were problems prior to this,
Yes.
9/19,
Yes.
15.
Yes, there were.
Yeah, on 9/4, I talked to him about several things, and again, we all agreed that that was, because I talked to Layla before I went down there. I went to her house, and I said, I think this is the way we should handle this. Her and I sat down, and we